CTD Interviews, a series of meetings with the relevant professionals of the ELT and business sector to talk about 21st century skills, coaching, development, and training in education. Today, we are going to talk about life skills and lifelong learning with our guest speaker, Letizia Cinganotto. Welcome, Letizia.
Hello, Palmina, and thank you very much for this great opportunity. Thank you, CTD and GIG International House. I'm privileged to be here among guest speakers well known all over the world. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Letizia. Letizia, you are a full-time researcher at INDIRE, the National Institute for Documentation, Innovation and Educational Research in Italy, and your area of expertise is in continuous professional development. You've also been involved as a member of different working groups and scientific committees within the European Commission, the Council of Europe, the European Centre of Modern Language, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Now, I've recently read an article by Andreas Schleicher, OECD Education Directorate, the case for 21st century learning, and I would like to read his words. Education today is much more about ways of thinking. It's about ways of working as well as the tools they require. Education is about the capacity to live in a multifaceted world as an active and engaged citizen. These citizens influence what they want to learn and how they want to learn it, and it is this that shapes the role of educators. So, Letizia, I think this is a real declaration of the importance of life skills. So for you, according to you, what are the most important life skills that a teenager student should be able to master at the end of secondary school?
Well, this is a very demanding question, we can say. First of all, I'm happy that you mentioned Schleicher, because I've been just reading a lot of research and studies that has been published by OECD recently, reshaping the future scenarios of education. And also, for example, UNESCO has been publishing research and articles about the futures of education, where the key concept is learning to become, which means that learning is a continuous flow. There's something that is always changing and never stopping. And so this is something that has to do with, of course, with life skills, because life skills is something that you need to develop in order to learn, in order to live, in order to become, and so to meet the challenges of the knowledge society of the 21st century, and so that's what our students need. Of course, we can mention the World Health Organization, life skills, communication, interpersonal skills, decision making, problem solving, creative thinking, critical thinking, and in particular, that's just a very recent framework published by the European Commission, which is just called LifeComp. So it's the a framework that just highlights the 9 competencies that are defined as life skill, life competencies, which are really, really interesting. So we have self-regulation, we have flexibility, well-being, empathy, communication, collaboration, growth mindset, critical thinking, and managing learning. So I think that these are just, first of all, this LifeComp is a very important framework that I think all teachers should be aware of, should take into account to design their teaching pathway, their teaching activities. And I could also suggest some sorts of maybe techniques, maybe teaching methodologies that could be embedded into the curriculum in order to develop one or more, maybe in combination, which is even better. For example, talking about communication, I'm a great fan of debate. As you probably know, is one of my research areas at INDIRE with my colleagues. Well, I think that debate is just one of the techniques, of course, it's not the only one, but one of them that could really foster both critical thinking and public speaking, communication, also in an informal way. And this is another important, a key point, a crucial point in life skills, that we need to match, we need to combine formal and informal. That is what our students normally do. That they learn every day through their, mobile, in incidental and in informal ways. So it's something that education, that school should somehow take advantage of and enhance. So debate could be one of the techniques to foster, for example, communication. Then in terms of collaboration, for example, collaboration, of course, cooperative learning, all the different activities that could be organized in class. And we also had very interesting examples of cooperation and collaboration also during the lockdown, and nowadays during this period, this pandemic, when we are forced to blended solutions or hybrid solutions. And for example, the use of breakout rooms is a very interesting, very useful way to foster cooperative activities, cooperative learning activities. Then in terms of critical thinking skills, I may suggest all the frameworks that have been published, have been defined and published by Project Zero at Harvard Graduate School of Education. With my colleagues at Indire, we've been involved in a co-research with Project Zero researchers, and we still cooperate with them within our movement of Avanguardie Educative at Indire. And so all the frameworks, such as the thinking routines, for example, thinking routines are very easy and also amusing activities to be introduced into the curriculum in order to guide our students develop thinking skills, critical thinking skills with specific aims, with specific objectives that, of course, have to do with learning as well, because of course thinking and learning are strictly linked, strictly combined. Then in terms of managing learning, which is another component of the LifeComp, we could enhance metacognition and self-reflection of our students' learning process, because if we had them reflect on their progress, on what they are doing, on maybe their problems, their weaknesses, what is needed to be maybe improved, this is something that they will get, for their life. It's something that it's a process, it's a habit of mind that will help them as adults, as in their working life as well. And for example, we could adopt tools like a portfolio or other, digital portfolio or other sort of repository where students could collect evidence of their activities, of their learning pathways, and so teachers, this could be of course used. A portfolio could be used for assessment, especially in terms of assessment for learning, assessment as learning, but could also be the starting point for shared reflections with the teachers and maybe with peers, in order to collect feedback, to receive feedback also from the peers, and try to maybe also later on go back to the materials or test or some other activities in order to reflect and try to understand the direction that the learning is taking, in order, of course, to continuously improve. Then there's another very important area that I really like, which is empathy. And here I would like to mention social emotional learning, which is a very interesting and important research area, especially in these latest years. So how important is to take into account the social emotional sphere in order to enhance and to foster our students' well-being. So not only knowledge, not only bits of knowledge, not only specific content, but it's important how they feel, how they, their favorite things, their curiosity, their well-being in general. And that's what we also experience it during lockdown, and where the most important thing was to reach the students, the children, and try to keep the affective and human relationship before the educational one, I may say. So this is something that I think it's very important. And there's a school, that's the Scuola Città Pestalozzi, for example, that is working on emotions, just like a source of thread within the curriculum in order to foster the students' awareness of emotions, of their feelings. That is a very important indicators also, of course, of their learning. Then just a couple of other techniques that I would like to suggest teachers that could be also very useful. For example, the project-based learning or phenomenon-based learning, which comes from Finland. So this sort of activities that try to overcome the strict borders of each subject, for example, of each of the school schedule, so that students can try to have a look, to have an overview of the world. And so sometimes looking at phenomenon, like in the phenomenon-based learning or projects, so some certain topics from different points of view in a holistic way. But this is life. This is, of course, these are life skills, because in life and also in their future personal and professional life, they won't have any borders. That they need skills and competencies to face, to manage all the challenges in a holistic way.
Yeah.
But these are just some examples. Of course, there's so many techniques.
I mean, you have suggested wonderful techniques. Okay, I'm going to note them down and use them in our classroom with our students. So, if I ask you from on a scale from 1 to 10, how important are life skills for lifelong learning?
Well, I think maybe more than 10. Yes, I think that they are really, really, really crucial. And it's important to also at school. So considering, of course, the perspective of lifelong learning. So as adults, but starting from school, we have an important mission, that is to guide students, of course, become adults, and acquire this perspective of a lifelong learning, something that is, their curiosity, their approach to life, as asking questions. As Project Zero researchers said, that it's not important to find answers, but it's important to ask questions. So that the students can just face the problems, try to solve the problems through this perspective, continuously asking questions. Maybe they won't find answers to all the questions, but the important is their approach, their attitude, their good mindset. And for example, in school, of course, all the experiences that can match formal and informal, can combine informal and informal learning, and can also enhance different experiences like work-based learning. We had, it's compulsory in Italy in upper secondary school, which is something really, really important and crucial, so that students can have micro, let's say, learning and working experience at the same time, but it's really a small window, sometimes not so small, because maybe they spend some hours in different, let's say, companies or other places, but this is really valuable, because it's something that, a window on the world, a window on the world of work. So it's really, really relevant. Or, for example, service learning, which is another important, and it's one of the ideas of our Avanguardie Educative movement at Indire, for example, which means that students are volunteering on some specific some areas, for example, so are doing also some so feeling responsible for certain tasks, and this also matches well with the 2030, with the agenda 2030, with the goals, sustainable goals. It's a way to let them feel that this is our world, and it's not something that it's up to the states or to the governments, but it's something that we, since very, very young, children need to be aware of those small steps that they could take to somehow save the world or improve the world. And I think this is a very important mission, an important message also that school can, of course, can give to our students. And of course, all the mobility experiences like Erasmus or e-twinning, and of course, we have also language competencies that are fundamental, of course, to understand, not only to, of course, to communicate and to travel and to, let's say, interact and survive in another country. But language competence is so important, so crucial for developing global competencies. And we have the PISA Global Competencies Framework that was just in November. The results were just published. So global competencies and intercultural competencies. So how our students can understand the point of view of another peer from other countries, from other socio-economic backgrounds. So just to create this sort of mutual understanding, overcoming misunderstandings and conflicts, and this is another important life skills that we can start developing and enhancing at school, and of course it will be valuable for the future.
Yes. Listening to you makes me feel goosebumps, because this is the mission of CTD. I mean, we focus on 21st century skills, so we focus on coaching techniques to enhance our students' 21st century skills. So really very, very interesting, Letizia. Thank you so much. So we both agree that a student who masters life skills has more chances to succeed in his life, in his university career. So if we had to close this, to finish this interview with, I don't know, just a piece of advice to a student, or wishing something to a student, what would you say?
Well, my final wish, of course, is good luck to everybody, and good luck to teachers and schools. And also, my wish is that really teachers may redesign, may rethink their curricula, their teaching strategies, considering, having in mind, taking into account these important dimensions that are so important. Sometimes, yes, even more important than single bits of knowledge, single content that students may recuperate. They may, if they don't remember any particular specific content, they may recuperate in the future. But what is really relevant, that they will stay with them for their life, is just the approach, their attitude, their habits, and their thinking, the way that they think, the way they perceive the world, they approach the problems, the challenges of the daily life. And this is something that we really need to support since very, very young. So this is my wish, and of course, good luck to everybody. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks, Letizia. Thank you for your work, and thank you for the passion that you put into everything you do. I mean, we can feel it even through the internet. Thank you so much, Letizia. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.